again, my friends, and you are my friends, and welcome to your Wednesday fans react show to last night's rather thrilling, pulsating 2-2 home draw. A draw. We took the lead. We didn't see it through, but at the very least, as I said on last night's full-time fans react show, we can't say they didn't leave it all on the field. Now, this is a show that was in the balance. I'm going to be honest, a couple of things going on in the background, which maybe in time I can divulge, but it was in the balance. But we're here. I desperately need to talk about football, take my mind off of a couple of things. Norman in the chat, nice to meet you yesterday. Norman, a real pleasure to meet you, and everybody else at the statue. But I'm looking forward to discussing some football. I'm looking forward to hearing what the Fishermen, what Lewis have got to say after last night's result. And just as importantly, looking forward to hearing what you guys and girls are going to say. I don't know if it's going to go half an hour. I don't know if it's going to go an hour. Who knows sometimes with this platform? Sometimes it can go a long time, and other times you think a show might explode. And the fans are, reacting in a different way. That's the beauty of this show. It's live, unfiltered. And even I, as I sit here 2 minutes in, do not know the direction of the next however. But we do invite you all to have your say on anything to do with your football club. You can use that live chat. There will be a link, I am sure, at some point for you to get involved and have your say. We'll try and cover the points we think you might want to talk about. But as always, if there's something you want to discuss and it's not being discussed, please do shout. Now, you may have heard me say the show is in the balance, and it was, but the reason why I've dug in deep and found the why is these wonderful people here. Literally, frankly, I'm here tonight to do the show for these wonderful people that support us through Ko-Fi or through becoming a YouTube member. And if you're one of those and not yet on this list, please send my sincere apologies to you. I am sincerely sorry. You will get on the list as soon as I have managed to update it. But honestly, we can't do what we do without these people. And tonight I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing if it wasn't for these people. So a huge thank you to every single person. And of course, last but not least, Turbo GT, Victoria Henderson, and the last four anonymouses. If you're anonymous and you don't want to be, let me know if you think that is you. I'm going to bring Lewis in because, Lewis, you were with me yesterday at the Sir Ralph statue. And I want to discuss it very quickly because that was it was a great evening from my perspective, because around that statue at the feet of the great man, there was such a community and buzz and friendship, I think is a key word, I think, last night. How did you see it from your perspective around the statue?
Yeah, evening. Definitely, I think, a lot of people have had a lot to say about Sky moving, obviously, the Rotherham game and that impacting last night, because yesterday's game was meant to be Monday afternoon, wasn't it? I'm losing track of days at the moment.
It's the bank holiday. It does that.
Bank holidays have just completely knocked me out, and we've got more to come, which isn't a bad thing, but at the same time, I lose track.
Yeah, you do.
But when the announcement was made, the fixture was moving. I was really looking forward to it. Tuesday night, one last night under the lights, but a sort of spring, almost summer evening, and I think coming together around the statue before the game, like you say, it was mates, it was friends chatting football, chatting other things, some kissing and making up, and others looking ahead, and there was that optimism. And look, regardless of what's been going on in terms of league position, and I'm sure we'll get onto that during the course of tonight, just actually having that, people coming together before the game. I know you guys got together after the game. Sorry I couldn't join you. I had to.
No, it's never an obligation. You know that.
It took quite a while to get down the A12 back to Colchester, and I'm sure
it's never ever an obligation. You know that.
Diversions and things like that. But yeah, it was a really good night, and look, there wasn't anything riding on it for us in terms of league position as such. Obviously we could have moved up a couple of places, but it was more just, I think, coming together, and the club tried to sell some more tickets. I know they gave some discount in the store to bring it down to about 15 quid for a buy row. But yeah, a really good night, and really good to get together with people. And I think there was a game in the end that matched that as well. It was a really enjoyable night.
I completely agree. Yeah, from my perspective, obviously having started this 18 months ago, I was really excited and thrilled to see that as you say, the kissing and making up, the friendships, the laugh, the banter, even on a night where it didn't mean anything. Good evening, Lee. I hope you're well. Didn't see you yesterday. I hope you're doing well. And we saw you yesterday. Hope you're well. Good evening, Megan. Norman, as I said, great to meet you. Kevin Gates is in the room. We've got Nick Muller here. We've got Colin Plum. get involved, get active in the chat. I'm going to show you the league table. This is what I do every Wednesday. I show you the league table. It's looking a bit depressing all of a sudden, Lewis. I'm not going to lie, because I've had to scroll down from the first page of the league to the second page because it doesn't quite show it. If you just do that, it used to. We used to sit right where Portsmouth was sitting. It doesn't do it anymore. So I've got to scroll down. We are currently sat in 11th position, 44 points, 66. I think the most we can finish, Lewis, before I bring the Fishman, is 3 points above our target of last year.
Yeah, I did a quick calculation after last night. So yeah, I think we're 3 points off that target. So yeah, best we can do is finish 3 points above. I mean, we were so desperate to get out of 9th place, and I never ever thought that we'd be going further down the table. I always thought if we were going to move out of 9th at any point, it would be going up. But there you go. Like I say, I'm sure we'll get into that in due course. But yeah, still optimistic we'll reclaim our 9th spot.
Mate, I sat here for weeks saying, we're in 9th. We're always in 9th. I just want to eventually leave 9th, but I had eyes on moving up, not down. But that's the way it goes. We have got a prediction league for this week. It is a bumper prediction league because of the bank holidays, because of the shows falling on different dates. I've thought, you know, if you're gonna go big or go home. So it's week 34. There's a lot of games. I'll put the link in the chat in very shortly, but we've got Crewe, Ipswich, Newport, Colchester, Sunderland, Cambridge, Norwich, Newcastle, Southend FC, Halifax. I thought they were a bank. I'm not going to lie. Ipswich Women versus Oxford Women, Peterborough versus Notts Forest, and MK Dons versus Morecambe. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24 points on offer for if you get every single game right. So if you're sitting in mid-table, if you're one of the guys that are with Cheater McCheats and otherwise known as the mogul Matthew Phillips, and you're thinking, I'm well out of the points places, well, this is the week to get involved again, because you could fly up that league table and really win some points. Week 34, bumper edition, as we close on the end of the season. I will update the league table for you shortly and bring it to you possibly tomorrow night show, possibly beyond. Right, an intro I have not played in a long time, and I'm looking forward to hitting this button. He is back on the show, ladies and gentlemen. He is the Fisherman.
No, pretty Caroline, stone cold stunner. She was a when I started working at the dime. Serves his other mind to count your blessings, 'cause it's telling fair. They'll put you down and leave you dead. Don't make them scared. Yeah, it's the ugly truth. How they coming for you.
I don't know what to say on that, really, other than...
Mr. Brown, it's been a while. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. Yeah, thanks for having me back.
No, always a pleasure. Have you caught any whoppers on Twitter over the last 24 hours? I've not been on, so I'm asking a genuine question. I know you always
I've been having lots of love with Callie today, I'll be honest with you. It was
beautiful.
good. I don't like falling out with Town fans, and especially talking Town fans, because we get enough shit as it is. So it was good to clear the air with Callie, and it was just a misunderstanding. And, you know, I've been a little bit sensitive, as you know, losing my mum and that. But, you know, like I said, we were all good. We were hugging and kissing, and it's £50 if you want to see the private photographs, you know, on OnlyFans. So
OnlyFans. That's why
we're trying to make a bit of money. We're not cheap, me and Callie, so we don't come cheap. So
that's not what I've heard about you.
There's some good social media posts going around about that this evening. So
yeah, I have seen it. Yeah.
Check it out if you get a chance. I won't say any more than that.
Oh, not sure I want to. Craig at Portsmouth, last night's game summed our season up, really. Mike, I'll ask you the question that Norman's Norman's kind of has posed. Norman says, I know the league table is an objective representation of the season's performance, but it really does feel we are in a false position since McKenna joined. Is that the truth, Mr. Brown?
You know, I left the game last night feeling like, you know what, I enjoyed it. It was 90 minutes of battle, really. And I felt really we deserved to win that, although we didn't. You know, first half we dominated. Second half, you know, I couldn't believe we were 1-0 down. I was like, are you shitting me, you know? How can we be 1-0 down?
Yeah.
And then it was like, here we go, we're going to lose. And then the boys came out second half, you know, 2-1 up. And then it was just a bit of lapsadaisical defending at the back. And 2-2, look, they're top of the league for a reason. Late goals, they got a striker up front that couldn't do it for us, but was obviously doing wonders, having a bit of a purple patch in Wigan. But
Couldn't stay fit for us, though, could he, to be fair?
No.
That was the biggest issue that he had, I feel. But is it a false position, as Norman's sort of saying it is? Do you think 11th's a false position and we really are a better side than that league table suggests you would be if you looked at it without
look, the problem is obviously we've spoken about this a lot, haven't we? We've got, like, beginning of the season under Cook, brought in 19 players. And quite frankly, the 19 players that we brought in was far too many. We all said it. We were told we weren't going to get that many players. And then obviously, you know, didn't work out for Kieran McKenna, for Cook. And then Kieran McKenna comes in. Now he's only got to work with what he's got to work with, really. Do you know what I mean? And he brought in some loanees. They've done all right, but they haven't exactly torn up trees, have they? So, can you not type when I'm on the show, please, sir? My son decides to come in at the most inappropriate time. He's building me a PC, and he's building his PC. He's trying to go, hello, I'll start doing typing. Oh, cheers.
He's come to tell you that he would sign Macaulay Bomb. Not
a chance. That's my oldest boy. That is my oldest boy. He's a computer whiz, not me. Jake has not answered. He's still not answered that question. He goes, I don't know, Dad. He goes, part of me says yes, part of me says no.
There you go. You may have seen the picture. Oh, before I get to the picture, this is last night's stats. It's not often, Lewis, you see the team that are about to probably win the league ever go anywhere and have those. Possession for a start, 60%, 30%. I'm rounding up and rounding down. 10-7, 4. The shots on target is really the one where you could say that they've done better than us in, obviously, with one. But the possession under Lambert, we were possession kings, Lewis. It truly does feel we have possession with purpose at times, doesn't it?
Yeah, I just think we've got more of an identity in general. For the first time in years, regardless of the results haven't gone our way recently, the season isn't going to end as we'd hoped. But I don't think anyone can disagree that when you watch a Kieran McKenna Ipswich team now, we have an identity. There's a method to what we're trying to do. It doesn't always work. It absolutely needs fine tuning in certain areas. But we look to dictate the play, dictate the possession. I would say, and I do agree with Mike, second half yesterday, we played at a greater tempo than I've seen us play in the last 3-4 weeks. And there was a turning point. Both Backinson and Bomb made big challenges in the space of 30 seconds. Ball broke to Chaplin. He was fouled. And from that free kick, which Selena absolutely fluffed, we scored from it. The irony of that we've talked about set pieces and we actually score off probably one of the worst free kicks we've seen in a long time. But they're the breaks you get. But I would say, Wigan came, they were top of the league. Some people sort of say, I wasn't that impressed with Wigan, what are they doing top of the league? But I actually think the way we played, and particularly second half in terms of how we took the game to Wigan, it was more about how well we played than any deficiencies from Wigan. But I suppose the end result is, they clung in there, they got a point, which is absolutely invaluable to them. They're going to win the league on Saturday now as a result of the other teams dropping points. So they did what they needed to do. But I do see there is a clear identity with a Kieran McKenna team, which I think with some fine-tuning over the summer, we can absolutely be a force to be reckoned with. And as I say, we go into next season, clean slate, everyone starts on 0 points. We're not playing catch-up as it's felt like we have been doing all season. And then that's the opportunity for us to really pick up steam early on, and that'll be the true test for McKenna, and hopefully that'll be the true recognition of the real Ipswich Town, rather than a season that, quite frankly, has been quite fragmented in terms of we were trying to go in one direction under Cook. We then made the change. McKenna came in. The one thing I'd say about McKenna is how quickly, in a short period of time, he was able to implement that identity. So give him the summer. and pre-season, and I think it's real cause for optimism.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think what he managed to do it from joining and then the Wickham game getting moved and postponed and moved, etc. I think what he managed to get accomplished there in just a short amount of time really does create this. What can he do with a 4, 5, 6 week pre-season period? Mike, we've played the top 3 sides now twice. From memory, the only team to actually beat us was Rotherham out of those top 3, MK, Rotherham and Wigan. But more recently, you've seen the two in a snapshot of a weekend. I'll ask you the same question, Lewis. How far away are we? You've seen Rotherham on Saturday. You saw Wigan last night. Forget 11th. Just how far away are we from where they are going?
I said it. I think we're probably 6, maybe 7 or 8 players from
Okay.
Being consistent. I think our inconsistency, has been said, is our consistency.
It absolutely is.
We have been. You're right. I mean, look, it hasn't gone smoothly for Kieran McKenna.
No.
Hasn't gone smoothly. I do question this one up front, and sometimes it's pretty like in the first half. There was quite a gap between him and the midfield, and even Selena and Chaplin weren't sort of getting up and supporting Bond quickly. You're right there, Martin. What are you trying to look for?
I'm looking for a pen. I'm looking for a pen. When you speak, Mike, you speak such truths and facts. I like to make notes.
And I just feel that playing 2 number 10s is kind of defeats the object of a number 10. I'd like to see a 1 number 10 with two up strikers, even if it meant one of the strikers dropping deep. I was looking at the other teams and that above us, and a lot of them play just with 1 number 10, and either one of the strikers drops deep or deeper, and you've got that sort of chain link, as I call it, to the forward play. When you're playing, Selena last night was very frustrating. 1 minute he was over the right-hand side. Next minute he's on the left-hand side. Next minute he's in our defensive box, which is great. I've got no problem with defending. But when he's that far back and there's no outlet, we kind of sometimes struggle to get the ball forward quick enough. And I think that sums it up when we played like the Cambridges and the Morecambes and the Wimbledons and stuff like that, where really we should be putting them to bed, but you're only getting 4 shots or 5 shots the whole game and 1 or 2 shots on target. You're not going to get enough goals and you're not going to get enough points to help us be up where we should be. And I think that's probably why we are sitting 11th. Kieran McKenna is, like I said, he's got the summer to sort this out, and I believe he will. I said to one of the stewards last night about 14 players going in the summer and only bringing in 6 or 7, or like I said, 8 players in. And he goes, when we get rid of 14. But then when I said how many low knees we got, and then you look at some of the players that don't get first team action or haven't been playing that well, you start to realise actually that's not a realistic. That's more of a realistic figure than you realise. Yeah, And then if you can bring in, like you say, 7 or 8 players that McKenna wants, then maybe we can be in that top 6 of the teams next year fighting for that automatic promotion place. And that's where I want us to be. And I felt last night, coming away from the game, I didn't feel disappointed. I actually had a really enjoyable night last night because we played for 90 minutes. How many times can we say that this season? We haven't always played for 90 minutes. We've either had a really good first half and the second half we've like petered off and we end up conceding or end up drawing the game, or we played poor in the first half and be 1-0 down, 2-0 down or whatever and struggled to get back in the second half but played well. Pretty football don't always win your points. Sometimes you've got to have a little bit of a plan B where you can sort of play a long pass.
As Lee Brown says, a few more streetwise players to get out of this league. So you're not disappointed.
Absolutely.
I said last night, I think you agreed with me that you did feel they left it all on the pitch. You feel they emptied their tank and weren't coasting. Lewis, Mike says we're about 6 to 8 players away from the Rotherhams and the Wigans. What's your perspective on it, my man?
Been giving this a lot of thought because, I mean, you take into account last night and the last couple of weeks, Kieran McKenna has been without Edmondson. Now, I know Burgess came in. I thought last night, I agreed with what you guys were saying in the post-match show. I thought Burgess played really well last night, and I think he's done well since he's come in. But I think, in my opinion, and I know, Mike, you're a big fan of Donasian, and Donasian has had an unbelievable season. I thought last night he wasn't quite at it.
No.
And I'm not saying he was poor, but he wasn't as effective as he has been. But if you go back to the pre-match comments, Kieran McKenna had said that he was carrying a knock. So I think that possibly had a bit of an influence on his performance last night. And he wasn't poor by any stretch. I don't think he was as effective as he has been. And by missing Edmondson, that back three could have slightly been reshuffled. I know a lot of people were crying out for Baggett. He had a great game on Saturday. I agree with what Cruncher said. I think his next step is to go out on loan and do what Corey and Darby's done and have a season of, cutting his crust at League 2 level, potentially even lower League 1 level if there's teams prepared to take him. So back to my point, he was without Edmondson, which would have given a bit more cover across the back three, and he has been for a little while. Evans is out. I think that's made a huge difference. Although I would say with Backinson playing deeper, that's brought the best out of Sam Morsey in terms of allowing him to get further forward. And what Mike was saying about shots from distance, I personally noticed the difference last night in players being prepared to have a pop. And Morsey had a shot first half that the keeper fumbled, and it was unfortunate no one was really following up. I think Bond was, but I think the defender got back just ahead of him and managed to clear it. But yeah, having a shot from distance will create a bit of chaos and a bit of havoc potentially. It might take a nick, might take a deflection. And I agree, we don't do it enough. But no Edmondson, no Evans. We haven't seen Kyle Edwards for a long time. There was someone else off the top of my head. I'm trying to think. Caden Jackson, regardless of what you think of Caden Jackson, he came
big loss for McKenna
on a roll.
That one.
He's not been available. So that's 4 players from last night's team. I do agree that potentially loanees may go back. I don't know about Backinson. I know there's an option. For me, Dominic Thompson, I think we could upgrade on that. I kind of feel that with him and Penny, you've got Penny going forward. And I put out on Twitter earlier, is there a better crosser of the ball than Matt Penny at the football club? It's open.
I don't think there is. He just can't defend for Toffee. That's the sad.
I was going to say,
bit about
on the flip side, his deficiencies are defensively, whereas Thompson is a good left back, but he's not necessarily a left wing back. So I think you kind of need Thompson and Penny to morph into one player. And that's
said that myself so many times.
That's what we need to upgrade on. But
in a back five with 3 centre halves, what's the preferential do you want in a player? Because you are England's third tier. You are not going to get the complete left wing back. That's just not going to happen. Even the top sides are still searching for complete left, right, whatever wing backs. So what do you want to be stronger strength? The Dominic Thompson trait, where he's better going backwards than he is forwards, or the Matt Penny trait? Better, because personally, what Matt Penny and I've written down as a player I want to speak about tonight. His balls in the box are attackable balls. They are what you want as a striker to go and get on the end of. He's the only player that we can do that in our squad. I would take Penny over every left back at our football club, and I'd play him next year without hesitation because I want him going forward. Defending, I've got 3 centre halves. If I can't handle it, there's something wrong with what's going on elsewhere.
I think though, and Kieran McKenna alluded to this when he took over, it's horses for courses. So if we are playing Cheltenham at home, Morecambe at home, that sort of calibre of team that we failed to break down, Cambridge at home, and this is no disrespect to any of the opposition, but teams that are potentially going to come to Portman Road and think, right, we're playing Ipswich, big crowd behind them, quality football players at this level, we'll keep the ball, we're going to dig in. Do you play a Dominic Thompson type player who's more defensively suited, or do you play a Matt Penny? I'd say you play a Matt Penny. If we go away to Hillsborough or to Stadium of Light, do you play a Matt Penny type player or do you play a Dominic Thompson? You play a Dominic Thompson. So absolutely. I think it's horses for courses. So I am not saying Matt Penny is the answer. I am saying he is an answer to a problem that we have struggled to overcome in recent weeks, where we have been clearly attacking down the right-hand side. And against Rotherham, Sky put up the stats of areas of attack, and it was all down the right-hand side. And in fairness, Rotherham away, I would have played Dominic Thompson. So I think that was the correct decision to play him. But I think at home against lesser teams in terms of where they are in the table that are coming to Portman Road to frustrate us, I think we can play 2 attacking wing-backs, whereas against more attack-minded teams, we may only be able to get away with playing 1 wing-back because we need that cover defensively, and it gives us a bit more fluidity. If you play Donacien as a right side of 3, because potentially he can slot over onto the right, everyone moves across, and then you get someone tucked in, and that gives us a bit more of a solid base and foundation. It's a bit like the argument of playing 3 centre halves against the team that's got 1 up top. You know, there is that argument of actually you could push someone further forward. Now, I'm not saying Kieran McKenna should do that every game, but there needs to be fluidity, and the players need to fit into various systems. So I don't think it's about, this is the starting 11 for Ipswich Town on the first day of the season Actually, I think the season begins at the end of July, doesn't it?
It does.
Even the beginning of August. But come first game of the season, that 11 should not be set in stone of that's your 11. And then there's a huge drop-off before you get to players 12, 13, 14, 15 in the squad. It needs to evolve. You need players that can play a variety of positions. I'm not saying we're Chelsea under Abramovich from early 2000s where you get 2 players in every position. But there needs to be that fluidity. And I think with the left wing-back, yes, people are crying out for a new upgrade, a new improved left wing back. But I think if you're going to keep Matt Penny in the squad, then it needs to potentially be a more defensive-minded player. Because you're quite right, at League One level, you're not going to get someone that incorporates everything to a really high degree. Because if you do, they're probably not going to be playing at League One level.
Absolutely. Yeah. A few comments, and I'm going to ask you, Fisherman, on your thoughts about Backinson, another player that got a lot of comments after the game. But we've got Ashley Smith. Why is it the wing backs stop when they get over the half, when it gets to the halfway line? Good point. Josh Russell last night. It was the best performance I've seen in a long time. Good evening, the good doctor. Hope you're well. Jem, our main problem, our 2 right-sided. Not enough players getting in the box. No forward driving runners from midfield. Don't score from set pieces. Oh, how true that is. Norman, since McKenna has been in charge, over 50% of our goals have come from mistakes on our left. Thompson has been our left back for most of those games. We need more pace on our left. The good doctor, agree. Very good comment, Ash. We really need the same pressure both sides that Burns and JD give. Would be less easy to contain the right side. The left side are doing it too crucial for me. I do get that point. Although you've got to have a bit of tactical balance, I guess. The benefit with Matt Penny is most of his balls coming from the halfway line. He's a very good crosser of the ball from a deep position. Procrastinating Womble. Tactics and nice lollies in the chat. Talking Town is just brilliant. We aim to please. Procrastinating Womble. Callie, I think Thompson was more effective attacking yesterday than Penny. Mike Backinson. I thought he had a really good game. I called over Matt Phillips, who I thought was a big T fan, and he said, nah, didn't rate him at all last night. I saw it one way, he saw it another. The beauty of football. So we've come to the Oracle. What do you think?
There was times in the game where he just kind of lumbered around the pitch a little bit. There weren't enough. For me, Backinson, it just seems a little bit sort of half a yard short of awareness, if that's the right word. Mm-hmm. Penny last night cut out some lovely balls that Wigan were trying to thread through, and did his job quite well, to be brutally honest. And I'm not a great fan of Penny, but League One, you can't grumble. The thing is with Backinson, he'll have 10 minutes, 15 minutes of good play, and then he'll ruin it by 10 minutes of absolute dog shit. I'm just going to say it. Yeah. And that is my take on Backinson. He's a little bit cumbersome. He's like, it doesn't seem a lot of effort coming from him. He's it comes across a bit too relaxed. And you can't be relaxed playing as that holding mid, and we talk about our back 3 defending. Well, when Burns gets forward and Donacien gets forward, that leaves 2 centre backs. Someone's got to protect our give us protection in the back three. So that's where your holding midfield comes into play. Holding midfield jumps in while your left wing back can push forward. And I think, but that's been our biggest problem. Everything has been down the right. You stop Burns and Danassi, and you stop Ipswich.
Yes,
and that's very much that has been how the game has been played all season. Well, ever since sort of Burns and Danassi have had that partnership. Last night, I did feel it was a little bit more balanced. I think there was a lot more play down the left-hand side until Penny got injured, and I thought that was a bit of a nasty one. How that player didn't get booked, I don't know, because I know he got the ball, but he went through him like there was, no tomorrow. I thought Penny was having a good game. But Backinson, for me, is not a player that I would retain.
No?
Not at all. No. I said I'd get rid of him. And like I said, I've not been that impressed with any of the loanees. I haven't. And so for me, I'd let them all go. I really would.
Do you not think with Backinson, though, Mike? Someone will correct me, I'm sure. He's what, 22, 23?
I can double look.
I see him as a bit of a rough diamond. I think he does certain things very, very well. I do agree. He's got a certain
23.
He's got a certain style about him and a certain way of moving. Reminds me a little bit of kind of Jason Dezelle. I won't say Andre Dezelle because I know that will set you off. But if you think about Jason Dezelle, he played in a way that it looked like he was barely breaking sweat.
Yeah.
But he got on the ball. And Backinson reminds me the same. You can very much see that he's been coached in the right way. And he plays to keep the ball, keeps things ticking over. I think my biggest criticism of Backinson, and I think this is an area that really needs work if he is going to stay, is the number of soft fouls he gives away. Soft free kicks where he gets caught the wrong side of the man. It's a kind of dangling leg out that catches the man, brings him down. But that comes with experience. I would say as well, I said this to my brother-in-law who I was at the game with last night, if you look at Sammy Morsey and Backinson and hadn't ever watched them play football, you'd almost swap what role they do in the team, because Morsey is the battler, gets stuck in, whereas Backinson looks like that should be his game, whereas Backinson is more the neat and tidy on the ball, and he does occasionally duck out of the odd challenge if he's not giving away a free kick. But on other occasions, and look, I started by saying the turning point in the game, second half, because I thought it was starting to drift into one of those, we've played well, we're going to lose 1-0 due to the only chance. But that big tackle he put in, followed up with Bond's challenge, really kind of set the tone for the rest of the night. And we really, as a crowd, we responded to that. So I see potential in Backinson. I think, I'm not saying he'd be a starter next year for me, but I think there's something there we can work with. If the option with Harper is that actually it's just not worked out and we're kind of writing him off, then I think Backinson is a more than adequate kind of replacement project. And I'm careful of how many projects we have next year, which is why I'm really reluctant for us to go out and sign, top youngsters from top Premier League teams, because we do need players that are going to be able to hit the ground running. But I think with Backinson, we've had long enough to be able to integrate him into that.
I just think with Backinson, 23, you've seen clear development from game 1 to game whatever it was for him yesterday. He's developing as a player in front of our very eyes. He might not be at the speed you'd like, but he is a better player today than he was when he joined from Bristol City on loan in January. This is the type of player I would be very intrigued to be picking up in the summer as a third option in midfield, because he's got years ahead of him to develop and become a better player. That might be with you, but that might be developing and then selling for whatever fee it may be, even a nominal fee, 500,000, for example, just a pluck a figure out of the air. That is our model as a third-tier football club. And I will argue every club's model, unless they're Manchester City or Liverpool. Everyone sells their better players eventually. He's developing. Yesterday I saw a player that positionally was reading the game on a different level a lot of the time to everybody else. He would step in and just win the ball because he was reading the game. And those sorts of things you can't necessarily teach. They're a natural thing as a football player, reading the game of football. Some have got it. Some don't, and I think he had it. I think he has.
Do you think, because previous to that game last night, I haven't been that impressed with him.
I can't say I have, but yesterday I saw.
No, so are we looking at it on one game, or are we looking at it over the period of since he's been here? Because if we're looking at it from over last night's game, yeah, you'd sign him because he didn't have a bad game. But
did you feel?
If you're looking at it from when he came in, he's consistently given the ball away, which is a big bugbear of mine. Because the thing is, right? There's three massive big bugbears of mine with Ipswich as a team, the way we set up and everything.
One, me and Lewis at the exact same time. Only three.
Only three, right? Three. Okay. The first one is our lack of ability to put a decent cross in at set pieces and score from set pieces. That is one of my biggest bugbears. Two, the ability these professional footballers to pass a ball to a teammate, because many times this season our players have not done that. Do you know what I mean? We just simply haven't done that. And three, one of the most important things is you, as Neil Warnock said, you die to get them 3 points. And there's been many times again this season we have not tried to. I'm not saying literally die, but you bust a gut. Two of my kids play football, and my Daniel used to play left wing back. So I always played. Martin, I always liked to play a 3-5-2. Okay, and the thing is, he'd get forward, but then sometimes he just wouldn't track back. And I said to him, look, if you can make the effort to get forward, then you can make the effort to get back.
Yeah.
Because it's a two-way street. It's not a one-way street. You get forward and hopefully score a goal and make yourself look Billy Big Bollocks. If you can get forward, you've got to get back and help your midfielders, and you've got to get back and defend. We go forward as a team, we defend as a team. And sometimes I feel that we don't go forward enough quick enough.
Appreciate you, Lloyd. I didn't. I will go and look after this show. Appreciate you, Lloyd. Thank you ever so much. You've got some facts behind you here, Mike. Morsey's accurate percentage rating for passes per is 88%. Carroll's is 84%. Idris is 82%. Backinson is at 79% accurate passing rating. So you've got some stats behind you. Out of the four, I know it's albeit a smaller sample size for something like Idris El-Mazzini, but he does give the ball away consistently a lot more than the remainder of the midfield.
Can I counter that for a moment?
Of course you can.
Because I was about to say it'd be interesting to know what their percentage stats are. I would say with Backinson, he tries to be more progressive with his passing. He does look to try and pass the ball forward. So if, for example, you take a player that sits in front of the back three and drops deep, takes the ball off one centre-half 5 yards away, plays it to another centre-half 5 yards away, they are completed passes. And like I say, and like we've said many times on here, stats can be manipulated. And I'm not disagreeing with Mike, by the way. I'm just adding a different viewpoint of it. That if Backinson is looking to try and play the ball forward and try and thread a ball between two of their midfielders to get us moving up the pitch, there is more chance the pass is going to be intercepted than a similar defensive midfielder, deeper midfielder, who's collecting the ball off one defender to lay it off to another with absolutely no opposition player around them. Yeah. Having said that, I do think at times he gives the ball away needlessly in fairly soft areas and puts us on the back foot. But I mean, Mike said, are we judging him on last night or are we judging him over his time here? I'm actually kind of judging him over the next 2 years. If we sign him and what he does moving forward, there's something there that can be developed and worked with. And I kind of think if McKenna didn't see it, he would have given up on that project with Backinson by now. But Evans is out and he's continuing to pick Backinson. He played Carroll for one game and dropped Backinson to the bench and it didn't work. And I think that's evidence enough that there is something there that McKenna sees, not necessarily as a starter, like we say, but a third or fourth choice next season who can come in and do a job. And having played in that role against the two teams, first and second in the league in the last couple of days, I think, nobody can question that he's not up to the level of League One and upper echelons of League One potentially. But I think the key word is potentially. It could go the other way. It might not work. And by January next year, we're loaning him out to someone. But I think there's enough there.
I Yeah, I agree. I agree to a point. Like I said, with Backinson, that it just does seem that he's about half a second behind everybody else when it comes to decision making. Do you know what I mean? Like you said, too many soft
Disagree.
tackle, too many
Disagree.
soft free kicks. And I think if that can be improved, and his awareness of who's around him can be improved,
Yeah.
I think, he'd be a good bench player to bring on. Evans has done 60-odd, 75 minutes of, of battling and looking a bit burnt out. And Backinson comes on just to freshen things up.
Yeah.
So there is like I said, the potential's there. I'm not going to dispute that, but we do have to think about where we are, and
I agree.
We are in League One, and if that's the type of player McKenna wants, we've got to trust him, haven't we?
I
He
think
might not
so,
even
but
be
we are all.
necessarily.
Sorry, Lewis.
I was going to say he might not even necessarily be most suited to League One. And I had this conversation with someone earlier on social media about Dominic Thompson. That if next season we were promoted to the Championship, a player like Dominic Thompson might be more suited in our team than he is at the moment when we're talking about having more possession, because in Championship we probably won't be able to dominate the ball like we currently are. So it could be that over time Backinson next year is in and out of the team a little bit, but actually we're looking at, is there potential for him to go back to the Championship where he has played games before for Bristol City? I think the key thing you mentioned, Mike, is we need players that are streetwise, that are going to take the game by the scruff of the neck. And it's a little bit like when I first started playing men's football, I was 16. I remember my first ever game, I played in a back three, and the ball kept getting played in behind me, and their winger kept getting in behind. And I was quite quick back then, certainly quicker than I am now. But I remember one of the old heads of the team, who's probably far younger than I am now, but it felt like an old head, kind of 5 minutes into the game, grabbed me almost around the collar and said, "You do not let your man get in behind you like that again. You've done it twice in the first 5 minutes." And it was kind of almost that thing of, oh God, right, yeah, I really need to be on this. Do we necessarily have enough players at the moment who will do that? And I'm not saying necessarily grab people by the scruff of the neck, but it just sticks with me that I learned a valuable lesson that day from someone that saw that I had potential at 16, but I needed to mature quite quickly to play men's football. And I kind of think we need a few more characters like that. We have leaders, I think, that Edmondson, Burgess, Morsey, who knows what's going to happen with Bond next year. I doubt he'll be here, but even maybe Bond, it isn't just the captain, but we need players that are streetwise, that are going to drag us through those games that we really should be winning and dominating, that we just haven't, because teams have come with a plan, and we've been nice, pretty Ipswich, who've had 65% possession, but have had 5 shots on target and got done by a sucker punch, and either drawn the game 1-1, drawn the game 0-0, or in Cambridge case, we lost the game 1-0. That's where we need our kind of more streetwise players. So I don't think it's necessarily about sort of the number of players. It's actually the qualities that they bring and the experience they bring for playing League One football. We're in League One next year. We need League One players to get us out, alongside the potential that we have in players like Backinson.
I hear you. I'm very wary of the players that could play at a higher level, not suited to League One. We need players that are suited to League One. That's probably the takeaway I'm taking from that. But it's a great comment. I do agree with you, actually, in regards to some of the players that they're not quite suited to League One. They need more time on the ball, or whatever it may be. Callie, Big T was quality yesterday. Few loose passes, but you always show for the ball and try to make things happen. The good doctor. Morsey's goal was a little surprise. Thompson was where he was. Credit there, a really good goal. Andrew White. Backinson had a mixed game, intercepting a lot of balls, but was giving away as well. Norman, I feel we need more energy in midfield alongside Morsey. Ashley, Gov, we missed him against Cambridge. That's Backinson. I thought he played very well, but he's let Morsey get forward. Oozle, I rate Big T. We'll be happy to see him signed in the summer. Callie, Sam has... it's about the sniper with the Sam Morse. I don't know if you've seen it. But Emerson, Big T does some great stuff breaking up the play, but then let's let him down with his distribution at times. Craig, maybe an unpopular opinion, but seeing Backinson makes me miss Evans. And the good dog, I decided to leave it a while before I made a call on Backers, and have to say, I think he's getting there. Evans and Morsey, number one centre midfield lineup for me, but I'm thinking Baxton's worth a shout to be fair. And Lee again with the, hate to say it, but needs to be more streetwise, especially away from home. We should time waste, piss the home crowd off like teams do to us, and then we'll win more games than we lose. You may have seen the picture that's gone out on social media. Let's put it on the screen. Obviously, the chief executive, Mark Ashton, meeting with Mark Detmer, Mark Steed, Ed Schwartz, and two other gentlemen I do not know the name of. What would you ask for? What if you're Mark Ashton, Lewis? What are you saying in that meeting? What's your number one sort of priority for next year? Or why are you absolving yourself of blame?
Well, first thing I'd be saying is no tweets in pre-season about God help League One or anything like that to come from any of the owners. Look, it was all part of the fun. We all got carried away. I'm not criticising anybody for that, but it's come back to bite us on the backside, hasn't it, somewhat? I think from Mark Ashton's perspective, look, Mark Ashton's a great talker. We all know that. And look, I love Mark Ashton. I think he's fantastic for our football club. And I think, regardless of what Bristol City fans say, I couldn't care less. He's in it. He's in with us. I buy into everything he says. Whether it comes off or not is another matter. But I think he is such a good talker. I think he will distance himself from the start to the season and the manager who was in place in terms of it not necessarily being quite as down to his choice as it was made out originally, or their choice originally. I think there are kind of signs that actually they've learnt lessons from last summer. I think last summer was a needs must, let's get players in. But I do think it was a case of, okay, well, who can we sign? Who's the best player at this team? Oh, yeah, we'll sign him. And there wasn't a clear plan. It goes back to that identity of signing particular players for particular positions. So I think from a playing side point of view, I think he'd be mapping out, having had conversations with Kieran McKenna and the new recruitment head of, whose name I've forgotten, his recruitment team anyway.
Sam Williams.
That's it. Yeah, I think between them they would be, sharing targets and so on and so forth, and just looking for that back in and putting forward proposals. I think also though they're going to be discussing things like the development of Portman Road, what they intend to do over the next year, 3 years, 5 years. Mark Ashton talked about that at the fan forum recently. So I'd love to be a fly on the wall in that meeting. I really would. I'm sure we all would. But I don't think it will be quite as straightforward as going, oh, well, we rate Scott Twine, so we want to bid 3 million for him. It won't be as straightforward as that. I think it would be far more strategic, looking at the long-term planning. And it might be a conversation about, okay, we've got this option on Backinson. There is potential there. We sign him, and if he continues to go on that trajectory with the support of Kieran McKenna and what he has planned for him, we could be potentially looking at a £5 million player to sell on, and then we reinvest. I think it'll be long-term conversations that are taking place, which I think we'd all agree is far more refreshing than the lastminute.com of, oh, we're going to sign some quality players and we end up with Di Cornell and Hawkins and Stephen Ward and people like that. That was all lastminute.com. This is going to be strategic planning for Ipswich Town Football Club, not just Ipswich Town first team, for the next year, 3 years, 5 years, because it's not often that Mark Ashton gets the opportunity to go over there. So I think it's positive. And as I say, I'm sure we'd all love to be a fly on the wall in that meeting room.
Absolutely. Ralston, I'm hearing noises that big signs are still coming in. Let's hope we get some nice surprises as we go again. Lots to discuss, says Jem, but have to get it right on the pitch foremost. Kel, please don't defend today's team. Are we happy to be 11th? A lot of players will go in the summer and Cam will bring some quality. Very important comment, Kel, because I don't think any player should feel safe or feel their place, unless your name's Wes Burns, obviously, that they're because you are finishing anywhere between 9th and 11th. That's not where we need to be. Lee, they've already identified who's needed, and there'll be meetings to see the finances be given, plus off-field projects too. Now, last year, 19 signings came in. It was very evident the club were aggressive in a very weakened transfer market, and it's paid off to a certain extent. Edmondson, Morsey, Chaplin, Burns, 4 players. Aggressively we pursued, got in, and are going to be players that we can develop, sell on for future fees, or will develop and make us a better club moving forward.
I'll be honest with you, I was one for getting rid of Chaplin. But I've had a long think about it. I've had a chat with a few lads about it. And the thing is, I'm not sure he's being played in his right position. I think maybe further forward where he can do the damage, would
he got
probably be
last night, didn't he?
Yeah.
I thought he played better last night, and I thought he was in more advanced positions.
Well, that's what you need. You need, we can't be having 4 shots on 4 shots on or off target all game. We can't be having that. We need to be peppering their goal. And there's going to be times in the game where you're going to have to defend, and I get that. That's just part of football. But when you get that ball forward, sometimes you need to get that ball forward a little bit quicker. Sometimes I just think we pass back for the sake of passing back. I do think that, there's talk about a couple of Man United players, isn't there? That Robbie Savage's boy. Well, if he's anything like his old man, he was a shithouse, wasn't he? And then I can't know. With respect, he was, wasn't he? He used to wind opposition players up, wind opposition fans up. With his playmaking, his over dramatic falls and that. Welsh international done things, and in fairness, isn't that what we need at this? I mean, we've seen it enough. We've seen it enough at our ground. Yeah, when teams have come to our ground and they've gone, right, we'll slow the game down. We'll go down like we've been shot by a sniper. We'll try and get him sent off, try and get them sent off. We'll get them booked. We'll get him booked. I mean, last night, Morsey, got booked for nothing, Yeah, well, the blood went down like he'd been shot like a...
That was a funny one, because if the referee's seen it, it's a head and believes it's a headbutt, it's more than a yellow card in my ear.
Absolutely.
And if you haven't seen it...
player led with his head first, though.
But he's given Morsey the yellow card, so he must have perceived it to be that Morsey the aggressor. But so I don't understand where the yellow card, because it's not a yellow in either dimension. So I don't know what he's almost guessed it, in my opinion, where he's just gone, have a yellow, because I'm not quite sure. Do you know what I mean?
Do you know what though? I'm not saying Morsey should have been booked at all, but the fact that he was booked, with his luck this season with reviews of video footage, the fact he's been booked means they can't review it now. So like I say, I don't in a million years think it was a booking, let alone he should be banned or anything like that. But like I say, with his luck, it's probably done him a favour because they can't review it now anyway.
See, Morsey's a
wasn't even a headbutt, though, was it?
He's a so-and-so, that Morsey, because last week against Rotherham, I had a bet on him to get yellow carded. He didn't even put a tackle in. Now, the one night I don't put a bet on him for a yellow card, there he is, look, getting a yellow card.
Shouldn't gamble.
I'll tell you what, though, he was bloody brilliant last night. He came off that pitch knackered.
He did.
I'm not going to lie. He came off that pitch absolutely knackered. There must have been 85 minutes, and he was huffing and puffing. He's puffing out of his chest, and you could see it. And I kind of felt that he'd kind of put in a captain's performance last night, which I didn't see against Rotherham. I'll be straight and honest. I didn't think he had a great game. But last night it was like, do you know what? I'm going to roll my sleeves up. I'm going to prove to people like myself who've have questioned him in the past, and sometimes rightly so. But last night, man of the match, come off huffing and puffing, and that's what you want. And I think, like I say, we are. Someone put in a chat, I see that we are too nice, and that is a conversation that Crunchy and myself have had, and other fans. We are too nice as a club. We don't go down enough. We don't, And there was obviously the penalty call with Morsey last night, but from where I was sitting, I could see his arm round the back, and had that other player in a headlock. So it was 6 of one and half a dozen the other. There was never a penalty, but but you want that. You want that kind of aggression within reason, if you know what I mean. Not headbutts, but within reason.
Absolutely, yeah. You do want that aggression. As we close, because we are live again tomorrow at 8:30, it's a scheduling conflict. We couldn't do Friday, so we're going to do Thursday instead of the Friday show. So the Friday show's on the Thursday. So join myself, Rich, and Matt, and possibly Amy as well, at 8:30. We've got the boxing show, Dillian White, Tyson Fury, talking boxing at 9:30. That's tomorrow evening. Busy boy as always. And if Amy doesn't join us at 8:30, I'm live at 7:30 with the away day guide. So plenty of content as always from your ITFC platform, Talking Town. As we close, one thing, if you were Mark Ashton in that meeting, Mike, what is the one thing you want out of Ed Schwartz, Mark Steed, and Mr. Detmer?
More of the same, please, but more. You know, more of the same plus more.
Are you? You want more money?
Look,
Give me the bloody money.
They've got to give Kieran McKenna full backing of everything that he wants. If he says, I want a player for £5 million, you get it. Because at the end of the day, is if we really are serious about getting out of this league and back into the Championship, where we can possibly fight to get into the Premier League, where we would love to be, let's be honest, then they've got to fully back him. And I think with the recruitment bloke they've got in now, and they've got Pert, who's got a big, thick book about that thick, apparently, of contacts. You know, for me, there's got, you know, we've got a summer to look forward to. There's going to be times we think, fucking hell, we got rid of him, really, you know, or, oh my gosh, we brought him in. But look, we got to trust the process, because if we don't trust the process, then what's the point of supporting Ipswich, you know? You know, Rob Wilson, look, for me, Selena, no. Overpriced wages, overinflated wages. No. Not
suited to League One football.
I don't think he's suited to any football, to be brutally honest.
No,
Somebody's play. No, not having that. Look, this season he's not been great.
You've thrown a right good wrench right in the 57 minutes.
I'm sorry, but I'm honest. I'm honest. It's just an opinion. My opinion. You know, my opinion is I've seen enough of him to say I wouldn't want him. And I know that's quite.
I wouldn't want him. I agree with you in that respect. But he's a quality player. I'm not understating how much of a quality player Bersant Selena is. He really is a cut above. The issue is it's not a suitable player for League One. He's not physical enough. He's not busy enough in terms of his movement. And sometimes he's not just one chapter ahead, Lewis, of other players. He's a whole fucking library ahead of most of the other players on the pitch.
Wasn't he at Swansea on loan for a bit? Didn't work out there, did it?
The quality of pitches, though, at this level plays a part, though, as well. And
very true.
He's the kind of player that I agree with Martin. I think if he were in the Championship with players on his wavelength, we saw what he did before, and you know, he dragged us kicking and screaming through games and got us points, despite Mick McCarthy not wanting to start him or play him.
Yeah, but didn't Teddy Bishop have a season was worldly, and everybody thought, and look where he ended up. He didn't go any further, and he hasn't gone any further. Selena, for me, is a bit of a luxury player that we don't need.
But you do get more time the further you go.
This moment, us not needing him in League One, I don't disagree with. I think that at League One next year, it's not something I would look to pursue again on that level of wage. Had we got promoted this year and we were in the Championship, I think we'd see an even better Bersant Selena than we have done, because of it's a different league in the same way as the Premier League. You watch the Premier League and it's fast paced when it needs to be, but at certain times players get more time on the ball at the higher level, and they have players that are making the runs. You see Selena hit a through ball and there's someone stood there with their hands on their hips watching him because they haven't read the pass, like Martin said. That's making Selena look bad, but it isn't that Selena's a bad player. It's just that player he's playing alongside isn't quite on the same wavelength as him from a footballing ability side. Like I say, that's my opinion, and I don't. You're entitled to yours, and that's why.
Of course, yeah. I know,
absolutely. I am not saying I think we should sign Bersant Selena next year in League One, but to say I don't think he's suited at any level, I think he is more suited to the Championship than he is League One personally.
He's not physical enough for League One football. Full stop. Look at Wilkin yesterday. Great football brain, good ability, but he's physical. He knows to back in. He knows to make himself hard to play against. Max Power yesterday. Again, busy player, physical player, energy. The lower you go, the more physical you got to be. The higher you go, the more finesse you got to be. Bertrand Selena is a finesse player playing in a physical league. They don't go. That's like
Yeah,
asking me to do taekwondo. That ain't going to happen.
I'd agree with you if he'd have torn up trees at Swansea, but he didn't, did he?
I can't speak because I don't know the stats or anything but about his time at Swansea.
You know,
all I know is from what I saw at his time at Portman Road in the Championship with us, like the Leeds goal that sticks in my mind, Mike. He got the ball from a throw in. He turns. He's got he's got the freedom of the pitch against Leeds. He runs with the ball 10 yards, tucks it in, hits it from 25, goal. You don't get that in League One. I've never seen him have that much space inside the opposing half at all this season because
Crewe at home when he chipped the
possibly
goal.
Crewe, yeah, possibly Crewe, and you saw what happened. But you saw what happened when he has got that time, and he does get a shot off when he has got that time. The issue is he's just not quite physical enough. Craig, the best goal I've seen was Crewe. Good doctor class, it'll all work out fine. I'd keep Selena pre-season to get others up to his speed. They're a decent championship level team to get into next season. And he says again, Max Power is an energy name. Couldn't be anything else. I do like Max Power.
Can I make one point quickly on Selena?
Of course you can, before we close.
And also Macaulay Bonne, a couple of others. I think we accept there's certain players who we have a connection to as fans who are not going to be at the football club next season. Potentially Selena, potentially Bonne. We've got one more home game, and I think everyone will, but I would say I hope as supporters we recognise that actually they care about our football club. If Bond's only got one goal in 25 games, he's an Ipswich boy, he's an Ipswich supporter. He started the season on fire. It hasn't worked out as we'd all hoped. Probably no one more so than him. And so I think we should use the Charlton game at home to really show our appreciation. Forget the fact that we're going to come between 9th and 11th. There are players that we have that we as fans, either through Selena's previous spell or this spell or Bond's connection to Ipswich, it could be our last opportunity to acknowledge their contribution and how much they care about our club in that final home game. So rather than necessarily giving people stick because of our I think we should acknowledge the contribution they've made, even if it hasn't necessarily gone the way any of us would want. I'm not saying you yourself, Mike. It's more a kind of general thing for us as supporters behind those players at the end.
I said last night away from the camera. I said last night that Macaulay Bonne has done something that not many players get to do. And that's play for their hometown club, the club that they support. And while he was on fire and everything, it's just petered out and it's just not worked. But why shouldn't he have the same respect, or Selena for that matter, or any of the players this season? Technically it's been a bit. Has it been a poor season or has it been a disaster on the pitch? Probably a bit of both. But the reality is,
it's been the most exciting, disappointed season I've ever had.
It's been a weird season.
I'm also really upset. I can't quite have the emotion right.
We had the emotions of the owners coming in, which took us up here. We had Paul Cook coming in, which again took us up here. The start of the season brought us back down to earth. Then we had Kieran McKenna in, which brought us back up. We win a few games. We think, oh, great, and Colin, bless him, I absolutely love that man. We're going to win every game to the end of the season. Mr. Positivity himself, the GOAT. And look, it is what it is. I had a great night last night with my brother. My boy came, my daughter went, her boyfriend went. And it was, I came away and I was not angry. I wasn't disappointed. Like I've always said, if the boys put in 100% in the game and the result doesn't necessarily go our way, how can you be pissed off? You can't.
That's what I mean. I sit there pre-game looking at as the teams come out thinking, fuck's sake, we're going to be playing the Championship next year. We'll be sat here watching Shrewsbury. How depressing. Then I walk out of the stadium really quite enthusiastic and passionate because what I saw was a really good game of football. In fact, probably arguably better than most of the games I saw in the Championship under previous managers. It was a really good game. I really enjoyed it. But we're still going to be in League One. Well. How do I feel? I don't know.
Well, that is the thing, isn't it? We had a really good game, and I just wish we'd have had a lot more of them effort type games than we did.
On a wider point, we haven't been able to go and watch Ipswich Town at Portman Road in April for the last 2 years.
True.
And that's something we have to always
true.
remember as well. By hook or by crook, every game from every team will be completed this season. And that in itself, given the new variant, and I think we've all had COVID at one point, we've got through the season going to watch our football team. And I think for many people, actually more so than the result, and to kind of take it back round to Martin's intro at the beginning of people getting together at the statue before the game, catching up, saying hello, talking about the game, coming together after the game, doing shows like this, people getting involved on the chat, social media. You know, it's a good distraction from challenges that we probably all face in our lives. So I think having the opportunity to go and watch your football team play football in April on a nice summer's evening or last game of the season, we should just go, get behind it, enjoy it. We can't go up this season. We've got 2 more games left. You know, let's look ahead. We can't look back now. We've got to look ahead and draw a line under what's gone before. And ultimately, I think we're going to get the rewards. And I truly believe that. I think next year, we're going to be up there. There's going to be some challenges and there'll be some ups and downs along the way, and probably sound like a broken record, but I genuinely think next year is our year. So, you know, let's go next couple of games, get behind the boys, have a good couple of months off where we're going to miss football, and then we hit the ground running as a club and as supporters as well. None of the moaning, none of the gripes, none of that. Let's get behind the team as we have done so well this year. And who knows where we could end up, but I firmly believe it'll be in the Championship.
Absolutely. I needed this tonight, gentlemen. I really do, for reasons I can't quite divulge yet, but I really needed this. I appreciate both of you for sticking with me, sticking by it, and delivering, as Craig has just said, a great show this evening. But you're right. It's about the community, the family, talking town, and you know, comments like this from Lee Anderson, where he says there was a real buzz with you all after the game, and there was a real buzz before and after the game. A real just catching up with mates and that ever-growing circle, you know, the Wall family, Davis family, everybody that was there, Norman and everybody. It was really good. But tonight we're done. We're back live tomorrow. Lewis, you want to say something? Fire.
Don't know who the chap was. I did watch the post-match show. The chap who came on the camera for a little while. If anyone knows who he is, because he said that he only got him for the last 20 minutes of the game.
Yeah, Irvin.
I don't know the chap.
Yeah,
is he in the chat tonight?
No, he's not. He normally is, but Irv.
If anyone knows him and has contact to him, rather than watching the 20 minutes of the last game of the season, Charlton game, get in contact with me on social media, speak to Martin, whoever. I will buy him a ticket for the Charlton game so he can come along and watch the team for 90 minutes. Because he spoke really passionately last night. He kept going, oh, sorry, I only watched the last 20 minutes. I'm happy to get him a ticket to come and watch the team for 90 minutes if he's going to show that much passion during the game.
Irv is a great guy. And honestly, that's a really good gesture of you. And Mike, look at this. Look at this.
I just want to reiterate what, obviously, with the footballing world in wishing Ronaldo and his wife lots of love from every football fan. I hope I speak for everyone. I do. You do. Everyone in Talking Town, with what's happened with his little one. And so, when life, when we sit here and moan about Ipswich, life could be a lot worse. So, look, onwards and upwards, 2 more games to go. I've just found out tonight that you guys, I'm going to the Charlton game. I'm going to the Charlton game. Bloody right I am. I thought it was, I didn't realise it was an early kickoff. I'm going to bloody be there.
Good man. We'll see you.
Callie, though.
Sorry?
Callie for the whole game.
I had to sit with Callie?
Yep.
Yeah, the whole game.
Absolutely.
No problem.
As long as we get pissed as a fart.
Look, I love the loving. I love you, Mike. I love you, Lewis. I absolutely love all of you at home and all the TT Fist Nanners and the YouTube members. But we're done. Tomorrow, 8:30, live. Me, Matt, Rich, possibly Amy. We'll look at the final. We'll now look ahead to Crewe. And as it's a loving, as we're all telling each other how much we love each other, don't forget to, look after yourselves as well. Hello, you lovely lot. I am here very quickly to discuss Woodpecker Mortgages and Protection, run by Ipswich Town fan Graham. So you're in good hands if you go with Woodpecker Mortgages and Protection. I want to discuss the income protection service they do with you. You all know me and you all know my story. Literally, one day I went out into that big wide world, the scary world, and I had an injury. which left me disabled and unable to work. Just like that, I lost my income. Just like that. That's a click there. Crazy. This may have been an answer to a prayer, because obviously when you can't work, you can't earn. And when you can't earn, your bills are still going to be there wanting to be paid, like children needing to be fed. This could have been an answer to my prayer and taken some stress away from me and let me focus on my mental and physical health. Income protection insurance, it's not for everybody, but it might be for you. So give Graham a call on 01636 337 447 or email graham@woodpeckermortgages.co.uk. And I must say, your home may be repossessed if you do not keep up repayments on your mortgage. You know it makes sense, you lovely people.
I wanna